Okay, I think we can all agree that One Piece will never be the same again. It has officially changed forever when it comes to the actual story, the main character, and just in general the feel of it, because as it stands right now, as of the recording of this video, One Piece dropped a massive bombshell on the fandom with chapter 1043 because it just dropped a big reveal on Luffy and obviously the main character. 1,000 chapters later, you're giving us a big plot reveal, what the heck is going on, and then of course, One Piece has to go on break next week. That's gonna make us go absolutely crazy on, oh my god, what is happening here, folks.
Joyboy って誰?
But definitely this is a redefining chapter that reminds me almost even of a time where it was very controversial in another series that was running beside One Piece back in the day. You may have heard of it. It's called Naruto. Yeah, one of the big things that really changed the vibe of Naruto, and I'm seeing this conversation popping up now within the One Piece fandom of people saying, years ago, One Piece fans went at Naruto fans over the same situation, is the whole fact of towards the end of Naruto, the whole predestined thing of essentially it seemed as though Naruto essentially was destined for this because of the whole Ashura Indra thing. That was a big thing. A lot of people felt like they lost faith. A lot of people said Neji was right from the start of the manga about destiny. You have no control, because essentially Naruto was destined for this all along, is what a lot of people felt after the Ashura and Indra situation. And then now with One Piece, I am seeing that conversation popping up yet again, saying that, oh, so Luffy was destined to be this great guy all along because of, again, this big freaking reveal. Yeah, let's talk about it.
No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done.
So within this massive saga arc and overall epic story that is One Piece's Wano Country arc, one of the big things that has been going on for several chapters now is Luffy versus Kaido. In fact, oh my god, how long has Luffy been fighting Kaido in the manga? It's been, like, obviously in their time it's only been a few minutes or some shit like that, but in our world he's been fighting the same guy for like a year plus or some shit. Wow. But this epic fight has come to an end, and I'm not even gonna lie, it's very, very interesting, right? Because the way Oda was demonstrating and showcasing like a big like winner Luffy, type of shit. Well, he didn't say winner Luffy with this one, we'll get to that in a second, but he was showing the cards for the big battles in terms of like Sanji versus Queen, Zoro versus King, those situations in particular. Like, he made it an emphasis to let you know that fight is over, here's the winner. And naturally, you're going to assume it's a shonen manga. The winner that's going to be announced with the card and everything is going to be Luffy. And in the end, Luffy still lost. And it's a very interesting message because it goes once again and kind of splats all over the whole thing of everyone saying, oh my god, how is Luffy winning against Kaido when he just lost, a few days ago or whatever and whatnot. He lost. You could argue, yeah, there's still going to be that debate of, well, he was still putting up an incredible fight and pounding him down and almost won, so it still is valid. And hey, if you're going to rock with that, by all means, but ultimately at the end of the day, the winner is Kaido. So, like, even though, yes, Luffy put up an amazing fight against Kaido and all that good stuff, he still took the L. So Kaido is the winner, which I found to be a very, very nice change, I guess, of pace, even though, again, it kind of also is going to look at it from this aspect of, oh, so wait a minute, all of this and Luffy still lost to the Yonko at the end, which I personally don't like that idea. I personally don't like the idea of, oh my god, if the bad guys win too much, it's a problem. If the good guy, if our MC loses too much, it's a problem. I think that's kind of almost confining the narrative, and I feel like there's certain things that, because they're almost casted as bad writing, well, why is it bad writing? Because a lot of that is subjective ultimately. Like, yes, plot holes is bad writing and things like that, but in terms of just things that maybe feel oh, hey, you don't do that in writing. Hey, that's not how it goes. The bad guys shouldn't win. The good guys shouldn't lose too much, or it makes him look weak, or yada, yada, yada. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I like when a writer and an author can break those barriers, and that's kind of what Oda does by giving Luffy that ultimate L, which I still feel like, at the end of the day, based on what the end of the chapter started hinting towards, we're not going to be stuck with that L. I feel like Luffy is going to ultimately still, right now, I don't know if he's going through one of those crazy shonen moments of, I don't know if he's going to start beasting and going crazy now that whatever's happening with his hat and all that stuff or whatnot, but Kaido, nevertheless, is still about to get mollywopped after being declared the victor, and of course, spreading word everywhere that essentially he took the W, which he's been really desperate for this W. And I want to talk about right now something that as well was going on, the fact of how it all went down, because essentially Kaido swinging his club, Luffy charging with his fist. We don't know who's going to win. Probably if everything would have went just as that, we probably would have the standard shonen thing, and thank God it didn't go down like that. Thank God Oda did what he did, because a lot of fans would have been like, oh my God, because people have already been pissed, and there's been a lot of things. In fact, my next One Piece video, if it wasn't this, was going to be about the very nasty disdain that I've seen recently towards One Piece and Oda himself as of recent from the fandom. So, yeah, thank goodness that this plot twist was such a great one, in fact, of, hey, yeah, your main character is not who you thought he was this entire time. Because when Luffy and Kaido are charging and the CP0 member jumps in and says, Iron Body, distracting him, which was very iconic and ironic, is almost as if you really look closely, minus the overall outcome of, hey, having to go back in time, which that could even possibly be as well, Oda literally gave us the beat by beat of what was going to happen for the most part with the past, in terms of like everything with Odin has been kind of reoccurring, in terms of like even Yamato thinks that they're Odin as well. So, you know, there's a whole bunch of different scenarios that was almost pointed from the days of Odin that has once again reoccurred over here in the present. Because just like when Odin and Kaido clashed and the old lady came and had Momonosuke and used Momonosuke as a hostage, same type of situation in terms of distracting the MC while Kaido is charging at them. And it almost takes it to, if you really think about it, right? Look at it like this. This takes the shonen arc to a point of, well, what about if the villain is going to get manically and almost clinically depressed and upset if he doesn't have his fight be completely a one-to-one win, in terms of like nothing other than his full power and capability is what gets him the victory.
I spent my life pushing myself to be the strongest, and now I learn there's a power level I'll never reach on my own. And I hate that.
So it really takes a closer look at like, yo, this is actually depressing, because if you look at Kaido's face when that CP0 member shows up and says Iron Body and distracts him and moves it into what ultimately gives him the W, Kaido looks miserable. Kaido's facial expression, Oda purposely went in on Kaido's face and showed like, oh my God. And then ultimately his first response following that is, what have you done? I can't even believe you did this right now. I'm gonna hurt you. And he swings his club at him and shit like that. Like, yeah, this is going to probably destroy Kaido, because even after he told Luffy, like, I think it was the first time, what was it, when he threw him off of Onigashima, you can't be Joyboy. Ultimately, I still feel like when Luffy returned, it keeps giving him hope. Luffy is right now giving Kaido hope that Joyboy still exists. And I think that him killing Luffy right there, because ultimately Luffy essentially died, and again, that's why we're going to get into it in a second. The whole Naruto Destiny comparisons are here or whatnot, because Naruto also kind of died and returned on some, like, you know, what they say, Jesus type of thing that they say that Naruto towards the end became. Luffy ultimately is dead for a period of time after getting smashed by that club, which again, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of, like, just in general, certain type of ways of, like, you know, misleading the audience. Like, you know, you go to the Chapter Black arc in Yu Yu Hakusho. Maybe you don't know about that. You should go watch Yu Yu Hakusho. Ultimately, the Chapter Black arc really provided something where it was like, it felt straight shonen for the most part. You're fighting all of these goons and thugs, and then all of a sudden, boom, the main character is 100% dead, the character is crying, everything like that. Like, it gives you a straight shonen and then makes a major twist. And it looks like that's what Oda is doing. Now, let's lead it into the discussion of the Naruto and Luffy comparisons, because people are saying, haha, One Piece fans, haha, it's your turn now, One Piece fans, haha. Y'all laughed at Naruto fans, said, oh, now Naruto's Jesus. The whole point of Naruto saying, we can overcome destiny is bullshit, all of that jazz. And it was bad back then, I ain't gonna lie, trying to defend my series. But ultimately, there's a couple of different arguments you could have there. For starters, One Piece has been kind of hinting at a lot of this stuff for a very long time. We've had so many different hints at all of this kind of being canonical to actually happen in terms of this whole Joyboy situation. We've been talking about Joyboy for a long time. I mean, there's a freaking YouTuber called Joyboy out there, you know what I'm saying? Like, Joyboy been around for a long time. This is not, Ashra and Indra, like, 600 chapters in being mentioned. Like, this has been a long time in the making, so that's something a little bit different as well. Also, I guess you could throw the argument that maybe it more so goes into the whole pirate ideology of, being free and whatnot. Maybe you could throw the argument that whoever wins, the freedom was there all along, if destiny does necessarily exist. Like, for example, if we're really repeating shit, right? Like, if this whole Willa D situation, let's just say all of the Willa D members is a family and each of them had a role, and Luffy was the Joy Boy of the Willa D family, then that would mean that all along, again, it has been foreshadowed, going back to that point. But just in general, I don't know, I just see it very, very different. And I guess that's also why a lot of those fans and in general fandom has been really supportive of this choice by Oda to make Luffy essentially be connected somehow, which we still don't even really know all the details. We don't know if Luffy is really the reincarnation. All we know is he got the wind knocked out of him. It feels like it takes very surface level stuff, but makes it a lot more, I guess you could say, deep, or there's more depth to it, so to speak. But yeah, like, he gets the wind knocked out of him, tries to stop it. Ultimately, it looked like his hat was melted, whatnot. And you got ZUNISHA, essentially the island of Zou, speaking, communicating through Momonosuke, saying that, Luffy is dead and Luffy's spirit is gone and whatnot. But then ultimately, at the end, no, he's returned. Joyboy is back, and it looks as though it's referring to Luffy, that Luffy is Joyboy, and Luffy smiling there with the hat. So essentially Luffy was revived, which is a really weird concept considering it looks like it has something to do with that hat. Like, what if Joyboy again is a combination of a person with that spirit of the Willa D with that hat, and ultimately it's just like a spiritual thing, but it really doesn't have anything to do with, like, they could ultimately return and Joyboy could still die. He could return 800 years later and still potentially die. I hope it's something along the lines of that, like, he's destined to return 800 years later, but there's no determination on the destiny of what happens after that. He could be destined to return 800 years later and take a massive ass whip. Also, I guess a few people pointed out, and I guess I could kind of see some semblance of it. So Luffy is resurrecting a la on some type of, like, Jesus-inspired type of thing, right? And then, like, if you look at Kaido's design, some people say he looks like Satan, so it's like Jesus versus Satan. I don't know, that's where I guess a lot of people also get a little bit into the turmoil, which we ain't gonna go down the religion route, but once it starts feeling a little bit biblical as well, people feel like, oh, you're going to basic concepts that is from the Bible and all sorts of stuff like this. So yeah, there's a couple of things there that you could argue gives people that vibe, but I don't know. I'm totally fine with that, and I think it's actually a really crazy twist, and it kind of shakes things up, especially considering the One Piece manga, as of recent with the Wano stuff, has had a lot of criticism. So shake it up a little bit, and Oda did just that, but this was definitely, like, planned as well. This wasn't a last-minute thing. This wasn't a last year thing. This wasn't a last 3 years thing. If Willa D is a connected thing to all of this was hinted at from the very beginning. Monkey D. Luffy. You know what I'm saying? So really, really awesome stuff there. I guess only other things that really has been happening that's not necessarily connected to the big reveal, of course. Well, actually it was. It's the CP0 member that got stabbed initially by X-Drake, and then he got hit with the 2-finger, and ultimately it looks like Drake is down, and it feels like it's getting a lot more brutal. Like, Oda's, like, pissed off, like, oh yeah, I wanted to talk shit about my One Piece manga lately, huh? Yeah, I got criticisms, here you go. And does amazing storytelling twists, and badass, epic, brutal battles going on. Like, Luffy lost, Luffy died, and now whatever's about to happen with this Joyboy situation, again, I just feel like Joyboy was a person that he's been not necessarily reincarnated, but the essence, the spirit is there, but the spirit can still take an ass whipping too. Keeping it simple. But here's what you guys think. How do you feel things is going to go? Your overall expectations for One Piece chapter 1044 and beyond. Again, break next week. Oda, why must you do this? Your theory, Luffy is Joyboy. What does that mean? Is he like a reincarnated person? Is it a spirit? Is it only the combo of this boy and this hat? Like, what's going on there? And your overall thoughts and expectations for what's to happen. With Oda throwing these curveballs, I don't know where to go with it. I don't know how to take it, but I'm excited. But that's all I have for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'm from Neverworld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule. Anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in and One Piece right now. My God. Talk about changing the narrative in so many different ways. Have an awesome one.
So just go to find me.